What software can accomplish that? A lot of them: Asana, Trello, Basecamp, ClickUp, Monday, of course, Go High Level. The best one is going to be the one that you actually use. I've tried them all, and I'm just an Asana guy. What I would do is, in that funnel, I wouldn't build a webinar, wouldn't build all that shit. I would just have a very simple front-end lead magnet that leads in to them watching the podcast. But one of the challenges that I got is like, and actually, I just so you guys know, like, just being real and raw and vulnerable with you is like, part of me was like, here I am, this agency guy. I'm like teaching people how to grow an agency, and I don't even have enough time to do this. I'm going to end up failing my own challenge, and how stupid will I look when it doesn't work out? Like, that was my thinking. What up, guys? Shout out to the daddy mugs happening. Actually, I don't even know if we're there we go. Let's try that again. What up, guys? What up? What up? What up? Shout out to the daddy's mug. We got the best daddy ever. And we got shout out to Lana for her one that is my style. Excited to be back. Love you guys. I really do. You guys are so much fun to hang around with. I love talking about this stuff. For me, this is like therapy, just so you guys know, because, you know, for like 10 years, I only had one other guy I could talk to about these kind of agency growth, these kind of challenges. There was nobody else in my world that I could talk to who understood what I was going through. And so having you guys where we actually understand each other, I'm sure you guys can relate. Like, you know, my mom, my brother, still after all this time don't know what I do for a living. So having you guys, you know, where we understand each other and our challenges and the things we're building together and why we're doing it is so awesome. Just want to give you guys a little shout out on some stuff. We're gonna have some updates on the 90-day challenge because we got some questions on that. The wolf pack is just getting bigger and better. What I'm really focused on the next year. What's up, Annette? Good seeing you. I can't wait to hang out with you, by the way. I don't know when we're gonna do that, but we got to take a trip to Guadalajara. Just throwing it out there that like part of the wolf pack is I realize what people struggle the most with is not like the big ideas, but the challenges of actually getting it all implemented. And so I'm building more and more pieces to help folks get it implemented. It's just like, you know, it's a snowball. It's a little bit of snow gets added each day, but in doing so, I feel like, you know, give it 6 months, a year from now, we're going to have the coolest thing on the planet where you'll have a whole team of people to help you execute on the challenging parts of building and growing an agency. So I think that's amazing. All right. So let's get into the questions. Let's get into the good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Frankie Fihn proudly brings to you our weekly Q&A. Those of you guys who watch 90s wrestling and early 2000 Attitude Era, you will recognize that intro. All right, let's start with Aaron. Aaron says, love to get an update on the market and the best agency management system agency owners doing $100,000 per month or more are using to manage their team. Okay, so this question usually leads to the answer, Aaron, as a software. And I'm going to tell you there's lots of cool software that can accomplish that job. And I think if you understand the bigger idea behind the software, I think you'll be a lot more successful with it. So we personally use in our agency, Asana is our workhorse. I love Asana because it's stupid simple to use. I actually showed it to Ilka for something she's building, and she said, with no instructions, I was able to understand it and use it in under 5 minutes. That to me is an awesome software. A lot of folks in our world love Go High Level. ClickUp is another. Monday, Trello. I'm probably forgetting a few off the top of my head. Basecamp. The idea behind a software is what ends up happening in an agency. Like, let's say you got 5, 10, 15 clients. You end up knowing all those clients personally. And so everything goes through you as like an owner. And if there's a communication, whether the person sends you a Facebook message or an email, or I got actually clients that like, sometimes want to send me an Instagram message. What up with that? I got lawyers on Instagram. What ends up happening when you got 5, 10, 15 clients, it's no big deal. But if you start putting a zero on that, like if you got 50 or 100 or 150 or even 200 clients, like it's too many things all over the place and it's too scattered. So the whole point of a project management software or a tool or a system is so that your team has one place where everybody discusses everything one place, one centralized location where the entire business discussion can happen. This also becomes very important as when you build projects, it gets passed from team member to team member, meaning like, let's say there's 5 steps to like launching your pay-per-click campaigns. Well, you may, as you get bigger as a company, have one person who designs the page. You may have another person who actually sets up the ads, like a media buyer or something like that. And you may have an account manager that actually does the communication of those things, right? And so there's a handoff that happens in each of those tasks where, you know, the designer has to set up the page, and there may be special requests from the client, and the ads have to be set up a certain way and things like that. And then there's somebody who has to communicate that to a client. So you need a centralized location where team members can hand off tasks to the next person in the next link of the chain so that things get done, or so they get done in parallel and they can talk with each other. So that is the whole point of a project management software, is just to do that. Have one place where everybody talks about everything, to have team handoffs, and I would say probably a third function is so you can get accurate reporting. Like, one of the things you'll notice as you deal with like bigger, more successful companies, agencies, and otherwise, is they can tell you their numbers. Like, the top lawyers all know, like, they're willing to pay $1,000 per signed case. They can tell you to the dollar what they're paying on TV and what pay-per-click costs them and what it all averages out across the system. Beginning agency owners, it's a lot of like, it's very emotional driven. Like, I tried this and that didn't work. And it's very touchy-feely. And as what you find is you get bigger and more successful as a company, like, you know your numbers. And so one of the things that we have in our project management system, I'm not saying this is the answer for everybody, but it works pretty awesomely for us, which is just to have our employees have to create reports as part of their job, and once a week send out a summary of what happened. And what you'll do is you can actually like see the continuous, steady, gradual, continuous growth in the business. And sometimes there's surges forwards, but usually it's just like one step inching forward day after day after day. And that's what you're looking for in a tool. So what software can accomplish that? A lot of them: Asana, Trello, Basecamp, ClickUp, Monday. Of course, Go High Level. The best one is going to be the one that you actually use. I've tried them all, and I'm just an Asana guy because Frankie Fihn does his work like this. I make a lot of to-do lists by hand, and Asana is just like a digital to-do list. And so it was super easy for me to follow, but that does not mean Asana may be the best for you. If you're looking for like advanced automation stuff where like a client signs up and you automatically send them out the onboarding stuff and you're not doing that stuff manually, then you're probably going to want to look up and ClickUp and Go High Level. In fact, probably the two most commonly used ones I see by successful agency owners are ClickUp and Go High Level. Although having said that, I'm always the last holdout. I don't mean to be a contrarian. I'm just saying like that's what works for us. So I hope that's a helpful answer, but get all your team and your systems organized in one place, including how you communicate to clients. Because in the beginning, when you got 5 clients, you can talk to one over email and one over Facebook, and one may text you, and that works just fine. But when you grow an agency to 50, 100, 200 clients, it becomes a lot more difficult when you don't know every client individually, and your time is limited in a day, and you have to focus on systems and teams and those kind of things. So hope that helps. My man, Aaron. Arthra, that's a cool name, by the way. I just probably butchered your name, but I think it's a cool name. It says, hey guys, I have a client who's an author who has done an ebook on effective ranching. He has already sold 300 plus copies through a few podcasts. The main target is new ranchers. The ebook is $39. He has no online presence or email list. I'm in the process of creating a funnel for this client. Want to see whether it makes sense to go straight to the purchase since it's an offer while acquiring quality leads. Or 2, lead capture using a webinar freebie and sell it through email sequence and regarding ads. The client wants to see some sales coming in as well. What would be the best method in your experience? Well, my man, if you want to make some money and actually like see your client be successful, I'm a big believer that like you want to build a list, you want to build an audience. Now, let's talk about some of the challenges, because if you really understand the real challenges of what you're asking, you can actually set this up to be successful, and you can do it in a way where it's pretty easy for you on the delivery side, which is important, where you want to be able to bring results for a client, but you also like don't want to work yourself ragged. So there's a couple of things going on there. Firstly, anybody who's ever spent like a good amount of money on advertising can confirm what I'm about to say. You're going to have a really fucking hard time being profitable if the sale is $39, if the final total value, which means if you spend $39.01 to acquire a customer, then you're going to be losing money, even though like you're actually acquiring customers. So the actual biggest opportunity in that machine is like, what else do these ranching people need, right? Like there's an opportunity to give them something else beyond this $39 ebook. You don't want to think about the $39 ebook as the end goal. You want to think of it as the beginning of a relationship where you can potentially help and serve them in a whole bunch of other ways. So if there's just one $39 ebook, I'm going to tell you right now, there's no funnel. There's no, I shouldn't say it's impossible. I'm just going to say it's very, very, very like 95 out of 100 difficulty to make that work. Nothing's impossible, but man, you're going to have a really, really hard time. So before you do that, think about like, what can you also, like, what is the next challenge that happens after you solve the ebook? So I see this in the agency space. Like as soon as somebody like they go from like needing clients to getting clients, then they struggle on the fulfillment side. And then eventually if they struggle long enough on the fulfillment, they struggle on hiring. And then if they hire a bunch of people, then they struggle on managing them. And if they struggle on managing them, they struggle on like the quality of running a big brand in this kind of like political feeling, like kind of big empire. So there's always like, business is endless on the challenges. There's always like a new thing. So I ask you, if you solve problem number 1 in this ebook, what's thing number 2 that happens immediately after them? Because that's the next opportunity to like be of service to them and to sell them something that can be useful. So those are my first thoughts on it. Secondly, like to your question, I would go with 2 and capture the free lead. Now, how would I build the funnel? Okay, this is such an easy thing that not enough people think about this. Okay, you have podcasts in your case that are converting. So why would you do anything else when podcasts are working? So what I would do is in that funnel, I wouldn't build a webinar, wouldn't build all that shit. I would just have a very simple front end lead magnet that leads in to them watching the podcast. That let me put an asterisk next to the thing I say next, that are already working. Right? So there's a tendency to think that you have to come up with all these ideas in a webinar and create all this shit. But like actually more often than not, you just got to help them to get more leverage out of the thing that's actually working, right? The podcasts are working. So, you know, it doesn't always 100 times out of 100 work this way. But in theory, if you put more eyeballs in front of a thing that's working, it's just going to work more, right? So that's what you want to focus on. And in that case, you could probably get, you know, $4, $5, $6 leads on Facebook and then put them in front of a podcast that's already converted. The other thing is if they become like somebody on your list, you can send them 10 podcasts in a row, and it doesn't require that one single podcast to convert them, because they may like, you know, move closer to the whole over 8, 9, 10 touch points, right? And so you can continuously add value to the world and bring them into your place. But your biggest opportunity is going to be sale number 2. And if you don't help the business fix that, they're probably not going to be profitable with cold paid ads on a $39 thing. So I hope that's helpful to you, my man, because sounds like you guys are putting together something cool. Kyle says, coaches, consultants, what is your most underrated traffic generation method? I have 2, Kyle, that are underrated as fuck. Okay? Thing number 1, and I actually, just so you guys know, on thing number 1, I came up with this when I was reading Tim Ferriss' Tool of Titans. So for you guys who've never read Tool of Titans, Tim Ferriss is the 4-hour workweek guy. Like a bazillion people in our world have read that book. And one of the things he talked about in Tools of Titans, in the middle of the book, he had a section in there. It's basically just interviews from like a lot of like really top successful people. But in the middle, he had something that I actually thought was the most valuable part of the book. It said it had like the best questions that he liked to ask himself again and again. And he said, if you try and come up with a great answer, you'll have a great answer, but it's only like typically valuable once. If you have a great question, you can ask yourself again and again and again and come up with great answers. And one of the questions that always stuck with me, he said when he was trying to connect with people, either for like business relationships or marketing to them or growing, he always asked himself, what is the least crowded channel? Now, most people in our world use email and like LinkedIn direct messages and Instagram and Facebook direct messages. And the reason they do those is because they're free. And so it's an easy way to get started if you don't have like a bunch of like money to burn through paid ads. But I focus on what is the least crowded channel. I want to be in many ways like the only one marketing to you through that channel. And for us, direct mail has been amazing on that, because we use a service called Click-to-Mail that allows us to send mass personalized letters. And you can send them just to one person, you can send them to 50, you can send them to 1,000, you can send them to 100,000. A lot of times, most of our mailings are anywhere between like 5 and 200, and they cost about $1 a letter. And what we find is they work so well because nobody else is doing it, especially for like a lot of niches where you guys have gatekeepers. So like dentists have gatekeepers, and like medical stuff always has gatekeepers and stuff like that. If you're trying to reach those people, man, like I love direct mail because it goes right past the gatekeeper, gets into the decision maker's hand, and it gets into the decision maker's hand in a way nobody else is trying to reach them. Like you basically only get two kinds of mail anymore. You get junk mail, like pizza flyers and shit like that. And you get, like, you owe us fucking money, like threatening kind of letters, right? Give us our money, pay your bill by this date, or we're going to fucking cut you the fuck off, right? So when you actually get, like, a letter personalized to you, you read it, like, almost 100 times out of 100, especially when it has a live stamp like Click-to-Mail does. So there's thing number one of my favorite underrated traffic generation strategy. Thing number two, actually, I'm going to throw out a third one. Thing number two for my underrated traffic strategy, and I'll tell you why most people don't use this one, because it takes a while to work. It is simply creating content, and you're looking at it right now. Like, this is one of the things I do in my world, and I'll tell you why I love content, because once you put in the work to get it off the ground, it's a one-to-many medium. So, like, I used to see this all the time, like, pre-COVID, there was probably like a 2-year period where I spoke at like a lot of the legal conferences. Not all of them, but like, you know, a good number of them. And what I found is it's not uncommon when you speak at a conference to walk off stage and sign like 5, 10, 15 clients like immediately, or sometimes within the next couple of days, those people will reach out to you. It's really, really normal to like just sign a bunch of clients at once the second you come off stage. It always kind of like blew my mind. It wasn't like just unique to me, like I'm such a good speaker, because most of the people there were signing clients for their thing when they came off stage. You know, and, you know, some, you know, a few, and some like whole bunch. Like, in fact, a friend of mine used to tell me that he averaged $450,000 in sales every single time he spoke at a lawyer conference. So, like, bake your noodle around that. Somebody talks for an hour and makes almost $500,000 each for 1 hour's worth of work. But the secret to it, the point of it is what I'm making is it's a one-to-many medium, right? So, like, you can have 1,000 people in the audience and you can talk to all of them in an hour, and therefore, like, be simultaneously, like, you know, kind of giving like a value-based pitch to all of them. So I'll tell you, content is that for me, and I'll tell you why most agency owners don't. Because you make a video, I mean, there's a couple of reasons, but like there's the stuff between the ears of like, I look like shit today, I got a pimple, nobody would care what I have to say, who am I, why am I interesting? So there's all the mental stuff that stops people from making content. There's the what do I say, like the actual like topics and research. There's the editing, logistics, and then there's the actually like putting it out time after time. But if you're willing to go through those hurdles, like nothing works better than content. It's actually kind of amazing to me because I get people who reach out to me now. Like I just got a message the other day. Somebody said, "Hey, we read your book and watched your videos, and we built a $50,000 per month agency. And now we want to talk to you." And I was like, just fucking amazed that like they just took my free shit and like got to $600K a year from zero, like just off of the free shit. Like that's kind of mind-boggling to me. But that's the power of like content, is that you're continually creating assets that are one to many, and it makes almost like sales conversations and things like that unnecessary. So I feel like a lot of agency owners would like, you know, if they just invested the time and energy into getting content. But I'll tell you the reason they don't is like you put out 2 videos and nobody cares in the beginning and you feel all deflated and you give up there. Like it almost takes like 6 months to even like get any sort of liftoff momentum. But if you stay with it, I'm telling you, like nothing is more predictable in the world than just putting out content. Like look at Hermosi's launch. Everybody wants to talk about all this, the webinar, but they miss the deeper level strategy. Like Homeboy's been putting out 2 years worth of content, 1,000 pieces a week for 2 years, so that like by the time this like book launched, it was already like the webinar for most people was unnecessary. Like for me, I didn't even watch the thing. I watched the replay in like double speed, as I watch a lot of things. And for me, like I was gonna buy the book like with no pitch. He could have just posted a sentence. I've seen enough of his stuff to know I want to read his book. Like that's it, right? Like I don't need anything else. And the content, the one-to-many selling, made that possible. Like he moved me towards the conversion slowly over the series of a bunch of videos. So that's my other kind of underrated piece. And then the third most underrated traffic getting strategy is what I call shoe stores. So I use a story that kind of illustrates this because I don't think enough people understand this dealio, which is my first ever job. Like we sold chocolate bars door to door for the blind, and we like knocked on a bunch of doors, And you do this like all summer long. You walk from like house to house, and you spend like anywhere from like 5 to 8 hours a day knocking on doors. And what happens is every time you knock on a door, you get one of three responses. The person says, I'm interested, and you sell them a chocolate bar. They say no thank you. Or the most common response is either nobody home, or they kind of ghost you. They are home and they just don't feel like talking to you, so they just don't answer the door. And you get the hint, go away. Well, what happens is if you do that long enough, you will get your chocolate needs met, but it's a grind. And that's what I consider like cold outreach that everybody's obsessed about in this day and age. And what I focus on is the way we use cold outreach, which is very different, is once a month, our manager used to go to the local grocery store. It's called Zehrs in Canada, but like, for you Americans, think of like a Meijer or a Trader Joe's or something like that. And we would go there, and he would ask the manager, is it okay if we sell chocolate bars outside? It's for the blind. And the manager would almost always say, sure, man, go for it. And we would pack all the kids in his car and all the chocolate we could fit, and every single kid would be out of chocolate in 10 or 15 minutes. And the reason is because the grocery store has all this established buyer flow. Like literally people get in their car and they drive there planning to spend money. And so in every market, there's these versions of what I call shoe stores or grocery stores. And I think it's a much better way of spending your time. So like, for example, if you're trying to break through with dentists, what is a better time? Messaging 10,000 dentists or messaging one guy who's got a podcast that is listened to by 10,000 dentists, right? Or messaging one guy who has a conference that has 10,000 dentists, or messaging a guy who has a coaching program with 500 top dentists in it, right? So like to me, the secret is actually going after it one to many as of like referral partners. Those are my three favorite though, since you mentioned direct mail, since we're recapping here, content played over the long game, and number three is what I call shoe store marketing or grocery store marketing, since I used the grocery store example. So I hope that's helpful. Lachlan says, any updates on the 90-day white label challenge, Frankie Fihn? So I'll give you guys a little bit of backstory for those of you guys who are interested in the 90-day challenge. For those of you guys who didn't see it, just a little recap. When I originally wrote the book, like it's funny because a lot of times when people write a book, they say like, watch me, I'm going to become a famous author. You're going to see all my shit. For me, I was like, this is just a little niche book. Like, there's not that many agency owners out there, like, relative to the size of the world. I was like, if I could just help one guy or one girl going through, like, a whole bunch of struggles that I went through, if I could just write the book for that one person, that would be worth it. So my dreams were just like, if I just want to impact one person's fucking life, that would be amazing. And so I did. I wrote the book with like just one person in mind. If like I just got one review and that one person said this like changed my fucking life and was awesome, I would have been satisfied with that. So what ended up happening though is in March of 2020, like a lot of people suddenly like got laid off, were at home, stuck on Zoom meetings, and so there were like tons, like our agency space tripled from like 2019 to like middle of 2020. And so I had all these beginners kind of like reaching out to me going, like, what would you do if you were me? How would you start over? Like, what would be the steps? And for me, it's probably a little easier than most to figure those steps out because like, I've built 3 different agencies, not just once. So like there's 3 different times I've built an agency to 100 plus clients. So like I'm familiar with the starting over process more than most. And originally I was thinking like maybe I should create a course or something about that because I wasn't like, to be honest, I wasn't super excited about teaching people how to start the business. I was more like I get really excited by teaching people who are in the trenches, get stuck, find out it's hard and have challenges to like overcome those challenges. That was kind of more fun for me. And so I decided like at some point, why don't I just do it? Why don't I just build an agency? I'll do it in 90 days. I think I can get it to 10, 20K in 90 days. Let's see how it goes. And I'll just document the process as I go. So I started that journey and it's been a little bit hit and miss. One of the biggest challenges with it has been like, I just don't have a lot of fucking time. So I'm probably working on it like 2-3 hours a week. Just so you guys know right now. And it's forced me to be like crazy energy efficient. But one of the challenges that I got is like, and actually I just so you guys know, like just being real and raw and vulnerable with you is like part of me was like, here I am, this agency guy, I'm like teaching people how to grow an agency and I don't even have enough time to do this. I'm going to end up failing my own challenge and how stupid will I look when it doesn't work out. Like that was my thinking. And instead what's happened, by the way, is I reached a point where I like the tasks and the things that needed to be done. I didn't really have the time for it, and I realized that I needed like a team. And I thought that was kind of like a little bit of a cheat code, because I'm like, if you're starting out, you probably don't have money to like build a team to help you do this. And I decided though, but like, I wasn't going to be able to finish the challenge otherwise. So I focused on like documenting all our processes and stuff like that. But it also occurred to me that like one of the challenges with folks in the mastermind is like we discuss these high level ideas, but like then going off into the world and being able to implement them easily is the real like rubber meets the road kind of thing. So I thought, why don't I just build this for everybody? So there's been kind of a long delay in it, and it's because behind the scenes, I've been building the fuck out of the infrastructure so that anybody can do this in any industry, in any niche, and build out like my kind of shoe store methodology. So we're in the process. I've actually been talking to, I don't know, this morning I talked like our job ads work so well that I had like 150 applicants. And one of the challenges when you have that many people apply for a job, Facebook blocks you when you start replying to them all. So I've had different challenges with that. But where we're at with that, just so you guys know, to recap, enough rambling about it, like where are the actual results at today? We're closing up on about 8K. Some of you guys asked me if it's recurring. Some of it is recurring, some of it is web design and is not. Although I'm going to be pitching the people on the recurring right after the web design, because just makes sense. But having said that, like we're getting there slowly, little by little, and we're inching towards it. And to be honest, I have like my own full-time agency. I have the coaching Wolfpack and Mastermind. We have a real estate acquisitions company. So this 90-day project has come in fourth, and it's been the hardest part because I've been trying to think about it. Like, what could I do if I was starting over? So like, yeah, like, I could just turn on the paid ads machine and get a bunch of clients in like a couple of weeks and say, look, I did it. But I know a lot of people starting out don't have 10K to spend on ads to make that work and don't know what to put in a funnel and all those things. So I wanted to show like strategies that really like anybody could start from zero. Having said that, like there has been challenges like with the time and energy required to make it. So what I've been working on is like, how could I solve this problem for anybody? And that's why you guys see a big gap in the timeline and why I haven't been making update videos, because I'm building a whole team. So like, I want to do this for everybody in the mastermind as well as me personally in our own agency. Like to me, I'm like, fuck it, let's just grow 60 agencies at once using the same strategy. Like if I'm going to do it once, I might as well do it 60 times, which by the way is what I talked about in the book, Investor kind of like asset thinking. For those of you guys who haven't read it, it's like the idea that if you're going to build something, don't build it once. Don't be custom solving problems. Like find shit you can rinse, reuse, repeat over and over. Like if I'm going to build this infrastructure, I want to do it like 60 times. I want to do this for every single mastermind. So we're building a whole team and stuff like that. I don't know how our mastermind turned into a little bit of a done for you service, but I just like, I really want folks to succeed in the challenge is always implementation. And I figure if I can build those teams. So that's why you see a big gap. But having said that, I'm planning on updating it today and just letting know folks where it's at. Like I said, we're just at it coming up on 8K. And cool news is some of the stuff we've put in place has started to bring restoration contractors to us like regularly. Like I wouldn't say we have it all figured out, but usually I've talked about this with a few other coaches. Usually if you're getting 15 to 20 sales inquiries a month, like one every other day or one every other couple of days, you'll actually hit $1 million run rate after a year of doing that. So like that's the number I shoot for, is like I want to see like 15 to 20 sales inquiries. We're not quite at that number yet, but we're getting close. Like we're probably at like 6 to 7 a month, and I'm just going to keep going with the things that are working, and those numbers will increase. Like we're building up a YouTube channel. So I know that's a long-winded answer, but I just want to give you some insight into like why there's been a big gap in that and why I've been quiet on it. It's because I'm simultaneously solving the problem, and I'm training like VAs to do like really basic things that we would do anyway. So I'm like, I don't necessarily have the time to execute it all, and I know not everybody has a VA, but I thought it's still fair because we're using like kind of like strategies that anybody could use, and just having a team help us execute on them. So I hope that's helpful. I hope that you guys are still excited to see that, because I'm excited to build it for you guys. And like, how cool is it to take I actually was talking about this on an AI podcast with Jonathan Mast, who a lot of you guys will know as the bearded AI wizard. And we were talking about like how that 90-day thing is going, and like what would you do if you start over. And I'm like, I actually like in the beginning I didn't feel good about it because I felt like it wasn't going fast enough, and I wasn't showing you guys like how cool the strategies I'm building really are, because I just didn't have enough execution time to like really do it. But what I realized is like I'm like, man, like I just built like an agency to 8K a month and in 2 to 3 hours a week. Like that's, I don't know. I when I look back on it, I'm like, that is actually pretty impressive. But I'll tell you, like I had a lot of fear and worry and doubt just in the middle of it. Of like, I don't have time to actually pull this off and do this successfully. So that's the big update on that. I'll give you guys a more formal video update in a little bit, but hope that explains some details for you. Declan says, what's better, affiliate marketing or digital marketing? People keep asking me this. I'm going to give you the ultimate lawyer answer. By the way, if you ask a lawyer any fucking question, it does not matter what question, the answer they're going to give you is, it depends. So the answer is, it depends. Is affiliate marketing or digital marketing agency better? The answer is, it depends on what's better for you personally and what you want. I think for getting started and like not having to worry about products and delivery and all of those things and managing people and teams, I think for that reason, affiliate marketing is a better place to get started. And I think for a lot of people in the beginning stages, you might just be best just figuring out how to sell stuff on the internet, and then you can just focus on that one piece and sell other people's stuff and sell like proven things. The flip side of that is almost always when you're an affiliate, the real money is always made on the back end. Like a lot of times, like Ryan Dice told me, for example, we talked at Traffic and Conversions for a little bit 1 year in San Diego, and he was telling me they had a Forex offer, and they created a 100% affiliate offer. And he said what he had was a Forex community where he wanted to build continuity so that people would pay him month after month for Forex training. And they created like a really valuable $97 course. And he said he paid his affiliates all $97 to sell it. Now, why would he pay an affiliate $97? Because the monthly price of the membership was $97 a month. And what they did is when you signed up for it, you got like a 60 or 90 day free trial of the membership. And then if you didn't cancel by like, day 91, they would enroll you into the community, and you would just like, pay $97 a month. And of course, they made all their money on the recurring. So like they don't get anything for 3 months, but on month 3, they start getting all this $97 a month recurring stuff to kick in. And so when you're an affiliate, you leave most of the real money on the table because you're not willing to figure out back-end offers and teams and fulfillment and all of those kind of things. So the flip side of that is you have way less headaches, but you actually you make way less money. But I think it's a good way to learn the ropes of internet marketing and selling. So which one is better? Neither is better. It depends where you're at and what you want in life. Having said that, I mean, there are high ticket recurring affiliate offers. I do have friends who do very well just focusing on that little niche where they focus on. And by the way, not enough people understand this. You do not need to join any affiliate marketing like courses, sites, whatever, to turn people into your affiliates. And what I mean by that is, if I just say to any digital marketing agency, like, I want to sell your stuff and get like a little cut month after month for the sales, I'll just bring you people, the leads, close them, blah, blah, blah. Would you be open to that? Like pretty much 100 out of 100 agencies will say yeah to that. Maybe I should say 98. 2 of them will say one of them will say we're actually too busy to take on more work. And one of them will say I'm concerned about my reputation and what you might say about me because we spent 10 years building it. For the most part though, everybody else will say yeah. So you can make almost anything your high ticket recurring affiliate if you're creative enough and focus on showing up like a buyer. But having said that, there is no better thing. I always caution people that I always fucking hate, by the way, when people talk their system up like it's the only way to be successful. You'll never hear Frankie Fihn say this is the Frankie Fihn system, and if you deviate from it even one little fucking bit, you're a fucking loser and you're gonna fail in life and you suck, right? I think that's terrible when people say that, because there's a billion ways to fail and 100,000 ways to be successful, right? So we want to focus on those 100,000 ways to be successful and and extrapolate the pieces that are useful. So I hope you guys do that with me. I don't hope you guys don't take my stuff as gospel. Take the good ideas, go use them, but don't take it as you have to do only this system or you're fucked forever for life. So anyways, next question. Jamie says, how do you prepare how do you all prepare to help tens, if not hundreds of businesses at the same time? I mean, mentally, I feel like I can't outgrow 1 to 5 clients at a time. This is a deep topic, Jamie, but essentially you're asking a question that tells me, just based on how you asked it, that you are a generalist. And this took me a lot of years to really understand that if you are a generalist, 5 clients as a generalist is harder to manage than 50 clients as a specialist. if you set up like a niche agency that has just one service and one deliverable. Let me tell you why that is. I want you to imagine for a second that there are two restaurant owners, okay? Restaurant owner is a generalist, which means whenever somebody comes in the door and says like, can you help? Whether it's a one-off project or a recurring thing or any niche under the sun, they do it. And so imagine like you go to a restaurant and you go there on Monday and you say, do you guys make Chinese food? And the owner says, yeah, we make Chinese food. Well, now that owner has behind the scenes, like if you think about all the effort required to solve that problem, he has to probably go to like the Chinese market. He's got to figure out some Chinese recipes and he's got to watch it on YouTube and he's got to like figure out egg rolls and whatever, ginger beef. Maybe he just goes to Panda Express and marks it up. Who knows? But he's got to figure out all that problems. Then I want you to imagine on Tuesday, somebody comes through the door and says, do you guys make pizza? And so now he's got to figure out pizza. So he's got to like source a proper like pizza oven and he's got to find the Caputo flour that makes the real stuff. And he's got to figure out how to do dough rising and he takes a baking class to figure out how to dough rise. And that's on Tuesday. Then on Wednesday, somebody says, do you guys do catering? And he says, yeah, we do catering. So what does he have to do now? He has to like figure out logistics of how to deliver his food and get it there and figure out a menu and food that'll store well. And he has to look like, what are the things people want to eat at catering events? And then on Thursday, somebody says, do you guys make a steak? And he goes, yeah. And now he's got to find a butcher. And that's what being a generalist is like. Every day of the week, there's a new fucking problem to solve, and you got to figure out shit. And it's really the energy required. On Monday, you're expending 100% energy to solve a problem. On Tuesday, same deal, like 100% energy. Now, I want you to think about a specialist agency as like a McDonald's. I'm not talking McDonald's up as a great restaurant because we all know it's like shitty quality food. But I want you to think about their systems and predictability. And I also want you to think about when McDonald's first scaled, the only thing they offered was burgers. And then they eventually added fries and a Coke. But in the very beginning, all you could get at McDonald's was a burger. And so it's the difference between what I call customization and custom. So McDonald's is customization, meaning the only thing they're making is burgers. And so before you even walk in the door, the burger is 90% finished. Now, if you say, hey, I don't like onions, can you get the onions off of the burger? McDonald's would say, sure, we can hold the onions. Or if you say, I want an extra slice of cheese, they'll give you an extra slice of cheese. You say, can you like put extra ketchup? Or like, I don't like lettuce, hold the lettuce. Can you toast my bun? They might do that. I don't know. But like for the most part, like they'll accommodate any sort of customization request. But if you say, can you make me a pizza? Do you do Chinese food? They say, fuck no, you want to go to Gary's down the street. Right? So what happens is when 1 to 5 clients, to answer your question in like this long-winded way, when it feels like this crazy hard, oh my God, I'm struggling just to keep up with 5 clients. How the fuck would I ever have 100? It's because you're literally just doing too much shit. And you need to narrow your focus to one niche, one solution, one problem. And we only do burgers. And anybody else who comes in the door, the way you help them when they say, I got this one-off project, you don't say, fuck you, we don't do one-off projects. You say, hey, I'm going to refer you to somebody awesome that I think can help you. And the cool thing is if you refer somebody down the street, almost always that person's going to send you somebody back and say, actually, you want to go see Frankie for burgers because that's all they do. They make really great hamburgers. And so what ends up happening is when you narrow your focus, all of a sudden, you're not solving a different problem every day of the week. Like the client walks in and says, I want a burger. And they're amazed when you go, here you go. Right? Like, I don't know if any of you guys saw the movie The Founder. It's the story of McDonald's. Well, McDonald's was the first fast food restaurant to like mass produce shit. And so like the guy goes in there and he orders a burger and they hand it to him. And he's like, no, like I want a real fresh made hamburger. And they're like, that's it. He opens the bag like, holy shit, there's a burger. And he's like blown away that it only took 2 seconds because up until that point in business, you had to wait, 10, 20, 30 minutes for somebody in the back to go cook your burger. But that's what it's like running a specialist niche agency where you're just doing one thing over and over. The other thing is when you solve a problem, you're solving it at the machine level rather than having to do it 20 times. So like, let's say I don't know, like a landing page isn't working. Well, if you solve that landing page issue, you're going to roll that landing page out to like 20, 30 clients. right? Like you're not gonna just do it like one time. So it's like if you solve the issue with the burger machine, like every burger you ever make gets better and gets fixed, right? So that's the other thing is like when you solve problems, you're actually solving less problems but making a bigger impact when you do it. So your question is like how can I have 100 clients when 1 to 5 feels like a shit show? It's almost always because 1 to 5 you're being a generalist, and if you switch to like a specialist McDonald's, we only do one thing for one type of person and we'll customize it to your needs. So like for us, like a lot of years we ran motorcycle ads for lawyers, and like when I get a new lawyer, this is what I got to do. I got to change this guy's picture for that guy's picture and update the colors. And I train my team to do that, so I don't even have to do those things. So they're the ones changing the picture and updating the brand colors and saying, you know, this guy is in Florida and that guy's in California, so change the word Florida to California. But there's like that's it. Like three steps later, we're ready to go. Like we had a year's worth of follow-up emails, and I could literally just copy and paste them from one account to another and then update the signature. So like in 60 seconds, like the burger's done. That's it. Like it's 60 seconds of setup, right? So a lot of times when you guys are struggling, it's and the deeper level thinking behind this, which is so key and so important. If you understand this, you'll become a lot wealthier. Is I'm not selling services to clients. I'm leasing systems and assets that I own. Like just like somebody would like lease an apartment building, right? They lease the apartment building over and over and over. So I'm building a system and then leasing my system and the results of the burgers being created over and over. But what I'm not doing is like, you know, trying to get hired to be your cook, right? So if you understand that intellectual difference, you'll focus on like packaging all the stuff you've already figured out into a system that can be reused and repeated and is really valuable and works for people and like can be done like a bazillion times at scale. So that's a quality rant, I feel. Chetan, I think this is our last question on the docket. So if you guys got more questions, now would be a good time to ask. He says, how do you guys collect payments? I closed 3 new clients this month, sent them a PayPal invoice, and then they ghosted. I should have collected the payment right there and then. Any recommendations? Couple things, my man. So firstly, let's talk about like solving this problem in your machine permanently. And then we'll talk about like what to do with, you know, like the 3 clients who are ghosting you and things like that. So thing number 1 is you want to solve this in your machine permanently. And the way you do that is you go into Stripe or PayPal or whatever you use, and you set up a recurring link for your payment service, whatever it is you're offering. And right then and there on the phone, when somebody says, you know, like basically they've agreed to it and they're ready to go, you say, is it okay if I send you the payment link right now? And they say yes. And you send it to them and you wait. And you wait like a minute or 2 for them to actually do it. And then you say, good, any other questions I can answer like in the meantime or whatever. But you send it to them and you don't wait, because time delays like give people reasons to doubt it, to question it, to get busy with life, to move on to other things, to find the next shiny object. Like you do not want to delay. Also for your clients' benefit, because you want your clients to like be decisive about working with you. And if it takes them like a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks to get into it, like you lose a lot of that momentum. So there's how you solve it in the machine. It's like send them a link, have it ready to go, and send it to them live in that, you know, sales process. Do not wait when you're talking to each other. Like I do this over text, but it's the same thing. Like, okay, cool, we agree. Can I send you the payment link? Cool. Here's the link, and then we go rock and rolling. Second thing that I wanted to say is, how do you follow up with people? Because I'll tell you, the way most people follow up with somebody to pay their invoice comes across as kind of desperate. And it actually gives people reasons to question working with you. You know, like, hey, I sent you the link. Are you still ready to go? Like, it implies that, like, there's a reason they shouldn't work with you anymore. Like it plants the seed of doubt. And what I found the best 2 ways to handle that is way number 1 is to use humor. So I've used a lot of the years. I do stuff like I do the Lassie joke where I say, hey, Dave, like I figured we would be getting rocking and rolling by now. Now I'm worried about you, man. Like, if you fell down a well and you need my dog to come rescue you, like, send her or have her bark twice and I'll come save you. Just kidding, haha, I know you're busy. And that's it. And I just use that as a touch point to like rekindle. You'll be amazing at taking the approach of humor of why they were busy. Like what I assume is they're busy, and I use humor to fill that. Like I just like make up funny shit of what they've been doing. You got kidnapped by aliens, or like I was talking to a restoration contractor, and he's been a little slow on the draw, and I was like, but he's got 8 kids, so I'm like, dude, like. I filled it with like, I just assume you're living the Brady Bunch, getting tackled by children and trying to keep up with the food bills over there at Costco, right? Ha ha ha, just kidding. No, you're busy. So that's how way number one to like rekindle them. Thing number two is to do what's different than most people is to actually to assume it's a no. Did you have a change of heart? Was it too much? Should I just close the file on you? Should we? And what you'll find is almost always if you take, it's easier to say no than it is yes. It's a very strange thing, but if you say like, should I give up on you, man? Question mark. It's easier for them to say no than it is to say, should I keep chasing you? Yes. Right? Like they'll ignore that message. So leading with questions that can be answered by no, that assume like that it like, for whatever reason you shouldn't be doing that deal anymore. Like I said, hey, did you have a change of heart, man? Question mark. No. Still want to go, blah, blah, blah. You'll rekindle a lot of conversations that way. So like humor and like ask a question where they have to tell you no, and you'll be amazed at how that all works. So my man Hetty is showing up here at the end. That's all I got for you guys today. That's all the good questions we got. I'll put the replay of this on YouTube as always for those of you guys who are interested in that. And you can check out and see your question in there. Much love for you guys. I just wanted to mention, like, we're doing some cool stuff. The 90-day white label challenge I will be updating soon. Giving you guys a big fat update as well. We're just building out the wolf pack and just building better, cooler agencies. The more I solve one problem for me, I want to solve it for everybody simultaneously. And I've had a little bit of inspiration, but I realized the more and more I can make it easy for people to implement big ideas, the more valuable it is for everybody. And for me, it's exciting to see my tools get used and put in flow. Like I said, I'm always amazed that like I get messages from people who said like, I got my agency to $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month, or I sold a $40,000 thing with no phone call. Like when people use my free shit for that, that's the most amazing and coolest thing in the world, to know you're impacting somebody that you've never physically met or haven't met yet, at least. And so I know we're building out more and more of those things. So if you guys are interested, I put a link below. But other than that, appreciate you guys, appreciate your questions. If you guys, as always, if you're interested in getting your question on here, sometimes people ask me how to do that. Either just post it in the Facebook group or just send me a message with your question, and I may ask you, can I answer this for everybody, because it'd be useful to more than just you. But for the most part, like, that's it. Send me a message with your question or post it in the group, and you guys will see your question live on air. So much love. Appreciate you guys. May the force be with you. Happy Monday. Have an awesome week. Go take over the world. World domination. Pinky in the brain style. What are we going to do today? Take over the world. But in a more fun, less evil way. So love you guys. And like I said, may the force be with you. Hey guys, if you like this video, you'll also like my book on Amazon called Beyond the Agency Box, which you can also find by my name, Frankie Fihn. And it's got a lot of awesome reviews. And it really just goes deeper on a lot of things we're talking about. Everything you need to grow and start a lifestyle agency, from the stages you'll go through to getting clients, to how to create winning offers, to high value deliverables, to wowing clients, to building teams, to building systems, and building a boring factory that's like a 7-figure money machine for you. So if you're interested, I put links for you in the video description, as well as it'll be in the pinned top comment below, and make sure to check those out.